We're live. Hello, everyone. We are here to talk about the final episode of Survivor Syracuse Heroes versus Villains. And with me, as usual, is Madison, Survivor Syracuse royalty.
Thank you.
Madison, it's the last episode.
I know, it's so sad. What a season.
What a season it has been. There's been ups, there's been downs, there's been twists, there's been moves, blindsides.
Yes.
And we're here to talk about the ends of the ends. Well, first off, let's congratulate the winner. Spoilers in 3, 2. If you're somehow watching this and do not know who's win, what's wrong with you? 1. Congratulations to Cam for being the winner of Survivor Syracuse Heroes versus Villains.
Yay!
From first boot to final winner.
Absolutely. Huge arc.
Let's get started. Were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it. I wasn't surprised with that final tribal council result. I was surprised with the steps leading up to it. Once it was Cam and Abby, see, I already messed up. Once it was Cam and Abby, I was like, okay, knowing how the jury probably feels about Abby, I think it's probably going to be Cam, but I didn't see that coming like a couple rounds prior. No way.
Now, if you were to look at the cast of 20 and say, which one do you think is the winner? I think Cam would probably be within the bottom 3 or 4 guesses of people.
Yeah.
But she did it. She
did it.
Overcame the odds and became Survivor Syracuse champion. Let's see how she got there with the beginning of the episode, which ended the last episode with Cam versus Jake.
Oh, you keep on bumping your microphone.
Oh no. Oh, it's actually this one. I thought it'd be my other one.
Fair enough.
Well, hopefully I don't do that anymore.
No, it's okay.
So we start this episode with Jake versus Cam, a season classic, how we started the whole series. And you were there witnessing it.
I was indeed.
What was it like experiencing that in person?
Everyone was so excited. We were really wondering what was going to happen. I think the consensus was if Jake were to have made it or survived that round, like he would have a great shot at winning. So everyone was kind of just like holding their breath, wondering who would pull out this like immunity elimination when Jake or Cam, and Cam ended up doing it. And I know some people were very happy, some people were sad for Jake, but yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned this when I did my interview with Jake. Go watch that if you haven't. I was so shocked that Jake fell. Not because I didn't think Cam could do it. It was just I was so convinced by the edits. It's like there's no way Jake doesn't make it to the end. Like not saying he's gonna win guaranteed, but not making it to the end. I stopped for like a good 10. I paused the episode and was just like waiting 10 minutes to just like cope with the fact like, okay, so Jake's not making it to the end.
Yeah.
Who the hell's winning the season?
And I think the jury had to have that thought process too. It came as a huge blindside, if you will, Jake being eliminated. So yeah.
Biggest blindside of the season, Jake losing. What were your feelings when you saw that Jake fell?
Oh, I felt really bad for him. I knew he had played a really good game, and he, like many people like me, really enjoyed this game and really wanted to win. So I felt bad for him more than anything else, because I definitely understand what it feels like. But I mean, I was happy for Cam too. I'm friends with Cam. I think Cam's a great person. So I was happy she made it too. So I would have been happy either way with either one of them making it through that challenge. But I definitely, my overwhelming emotion was just like, oh, poor Jake.
Poor Jake, because the lad fought quite hard. throughout the
Mhm.
season, and I think it's very safe to say he would have won.
Yeah, that's valid. And I don't normally say that, if, like, a final tribal council doesn't happen, like, I'm very tentative to be like, "Oh, this definitely would have happened," because you never really know. Um, Season 3, I think, is an example of that, but
Yeah,
I think if Jake would have made it there, he definitely would have won, so
yeah, he definitely would have won. Won by a landslide, we don't know, but we just know it would have been a victory for Jake Niebuhr. But sadly, that's not the case. And we have our final three of Cam, Abby, and Gabby.
mhm.
Final three women, woo!
Woo.
We're up with the times.
Yes, that's true.
And we immediately go to the final immunity challenge, which
Mhm.
is a compilation of all previous challenges, which was like puzzles, more balancing, more puzzles, and it pretty much came down to the word puzzle. And I heard that it took these girls a long time to figure out what the
It
phrase was.
Yeah, I definitely did. I was also there witnessing this part, and as a not huge word puzzle person myself, I I was like, "This would have been me." I would have been struggling here. It did take them quite a bit of time.
You'd be like, "Where's that shovel? I'll hold that up much
Yeah,
more.
just give me the shovel.
Give me the shovel. I'll take a shovel over word puzzles."
Yeah. Well, yeah, the shovel ended up being coming down to a word puzzle, so
Uh,
rip.
uh, yeah. All the best players lose to word puzzles.
I guess so.
But not Cam.
Not
Cam
me.
clutched that final immunity win and guaranteed herself final tribal. Which means final tribal council is going to be just like the season, heroes
Mhm,
versus villains.
mhm.
And it's now down to either will she take Abby or will she take Gabby? But before we get into all that, we have I forget what this is called, like torch ceremony? Where
Rite
you
of
go through
passage.
rites of passage. Yes, I miss when Survivor did that.
Yeah. I'm a fan of rites of passage.
Yeah,
I
it's
always
so
enjoy it.
fun
Yeah.
to like remember people of pasts. Let's do our own little rites of passage now and talk about each player. You can talk
Okay.
about it from actually knowing them, and I can talk about it from a viewer perspective.
Sweet.
So we can start off with first boot Lydia.
Yes, Lydia's a great player. She went home very early. Not all her fault. She was kind of advantage screwed there. And
Mm,
yeah,
yeah, if only she didn't win season 3, then maybe she would have made it further.
maybe.
Maybe whoever got third that season should have won, and she would have maybe won this season. And next we have Kevin Wu.
Yay! Kevin is a huge character, very lovable. Um, yeah,
Would have
he
loved to seen more of him. He was so much fun to watch on season 3. Too
Mhm.
bad we didn't get to see more of that on season 4, but what can you do?
I know. I gotta say, a lot of like I mean, people on jury still provided us with great content, but I just feel like the people who really gave the entertainment went home very early.
Like pre-jury.
Mhm.
Speaking of entertainment, Paul.
Paul, exactly. Like you can't beat the entertainment value with Paul and Kevin and Lydia. So
All of them. I mean, they provided
and
us.
Jason and myself. So I could.
We we're getting to those
I'm
players.
sorry.
But yeah, those three provided so much entertainment in each of their boot episodes. It's
Mhm.
just like, ah, if only we got to see more.
Yeah.
Speaking of seeing more, your mate Jason
Yep.
Ding.
Yep. Jason Ding, big fan. Always will be a fan. I will always stand Jason Ding, robbed king. Um, just didn't wasn't his time.
No, he's beyond Survivor.
Maybe, or maybe we'll see him on a future season of Syracuse. Who knows?
Syracuse, Survivor Syracuse Ding season. Oh, I still laugh how that's referred to as the party tribal.
Yeah, I don't like that. Jason Ding, put some respect on his name.
Put respect on his name. Gabby being like, it's a thing to be voted off by Jason Ding because she's the only
I
person
didn't
he's
like
voted
that.
off.
That was an outrage. I was just like, "Oh, well, ugh, whatever."
And now we get to now. I don't know if you know this person, Madison.
Who is she?
Uh, definitely one of the saddest boots and the most game-changing boots. Uh,
Thank you.
I made a tribal vote off video. It's just a compilation of all tribal councils, and after your vote off, there's a clip of just somebody crying. It's
Oh,
like
really?
no,
Oh,
yeah. It's just like, and the fifth person voted off Madison.
and then crying.
No.
I love it. Very nice.
Yeah, I also liked how the final three like recognized that if you stayed in the game, it'd be a whole different season.
Yeah, they were really nice. They said nice things, so thank you for that, ladies.
Carl. Okay, this is kind of funny how all three of them were like, "Yeah, we never talked with him." So,
Yeah. Yeah. Great
Carl.
strategic mind, not a big social player.
No, we didn't get to see much of him this season. Not that many tribal councils, and the one time he tried to do something, it got screwed.
Yes.
Maybe next time, don't tell people. It's down to you or this other person that's going to be voted off.
Correct.
Yeah.
And don't ignore
You're
text messages. Sorry.
yeah, and don't vote off Madison.
Yeah.
Next up, your number one rival, Holly.
Yes, and huge fan of Holly. I think she's a very strong player. Um, yeah, huge fan of Survivor, and can't say enough nice things about her. Unfortunate that the drama pulled us apart.
Holly was so much fun to have on this. I just remember just having the time with you and her in this recap session, and so sad we didn't get to see more of her.
I know.
But happy with what we got. Cassidy, I can now say with experience, the nicest person in the world. Oh, how can somebody be so nice and then in a game of Survivor?
I don't know.
It's like, Cassie, you're a sweetheart. Eli, definitely somebody. The fact that he got voted off in the same placement, in the same position, right before the merge, just
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. I remember him being very upset. Yeah, very, very sad. Another very sad vote, especially for the people who knew him or know him. So
yeah, because he was kind of voted off by his former allies slash friends. So, though he admits that it was the right decision. And now we get to our juror, starting with Derek, the so-called old man of the group.
I love Derek.
Yeah. I kind of invoked that I was not a fan of Derek his first season, and the second season he was okay. He seems very nice, probably great at parties.
Yes, Derek's fantastic. I think he has a very kind heart, and I really enjoyed playing with him. And I remember even going out, he at least heard me out. So he's a strong social player, I believe.
Yes, I'm still offended over that Irish jig and that one challenge.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
He will rue the day. Austin, the theatrical tribal council person himself.
Yeah, the actor himself.
Is he an acting major? Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe undercover.
Yeah, Austin definitely showed this season why he won his first time. And everybody was right to get him out quickly. Owen.
Yes, Owen.
He had such a huge game improvement this season because going into the season, just after watching season 3, I was like, okay, Owen's there. I remember somewhat of him, nothing too memorable. And then this season, the idols, the vote offs, and then getting voted off with his girlfriend witnessing it.
R.I.P.
I hate to see it. And to a unanimous vote as well.
That is
Oh,
funny.
hope you're doing well, Owen.
No, he is.
Now we're gonna need a good few minutes for this next one. Hannah Dolan.
Hannah Dolan, goddess, icon.
Just no words can describe this girl and how much she loves this game.
Yes, as she should. I'm right there with her. Like, I think having this much of a love for a game. I mean, obviously, I'm here. We're both here. We both love this game. So I think that's just like a beautiful thing to have such a strong passion and to be able to do it in college. So happy that she had the chance to play. And unfortunate that her time was cut short both times, but at least she was able to play for longer this time around.
Yeah, I'm so happy we got to see more Hannah Dolan and just what goes on, just like her confessionals, like get this girl on a reality show. Like get her on Big Brother, get her on The Circle, anything where it's just like her talking to a camera.
For sure.
Love her, great. Catherine, probably one of the biggest growths throughout the season.
Oh, I would
between
agree.
seasons.
Absolutely. She really impressed me. She had a slow start to the season, in my opinion, but like she sped up, she picked it up when she had to, and I think made those relationships that she had to get to that point. So I think a deserving jury member for sure.
Yeah, she was definitely somebody I was very surprised with game-wise. Like, she knew how the heroes were working and then controlling it once the swap came, and then still, like, containing that hero control despite losing member after member. Definitely a big contender to win the season if she had made it further.
For sure.
Mitch.
Yes, go Mitch.
Go Mitch. I just laughed at Gabby and Ken were just like, Mitch, I worship the ground you walk on. And then you have Abby being like, I have never
I
talked
never
to
had
Mitch.
the chance to talk to him. Yeah.
Both times we played, we never talked to each other. I do wish he did put in more effort, but it's Mitch. He was just there to
He's
be
a busy
himself.
bee. Yeah, can't be mad at him. I do wish that maybe like would have been more realistic of when like being voted back into the game. I would have maybe wanted to see someone who would take it a little bit more seriously enter the game again, but everyone loves Mitch. I love Mitch, so
yeah, he was great. He definitely needed that second chance, being voted off the first time the exact same way he went his first season. So happy he got to play more and got to see more of him. And Jack. Ooh boy, Jack.
Yeah, big fan of Jack. Very polarizing figure, kind of.
Definitely polarizing.
Yeah, and I've seen the best of Jack. I think he's a great player. So
yeah, he another person that just like improved so much this season.
Oh, for sure.
From his first time. I know if I was ever on a season with him or just someone, I'd be very intimidated.
Yeah, I was intimidated too a little bit because I just remembered him being like an actual villain, and I didn't feel like I was an actual villain. So I was like, "Are we gonna get along?" But...
Yeah, we definitely seem like very opposite people. But you have to respect the control he had on everyone and just how much improvement his social game had. And finally, the Wentworth of the season, Jake Snake Niebuhr. I think we already said
we already covered it, but
yeah, Wentworth could have easily won. Amazing guy. So happy to have him on the podcast more than once. It was so much fun talking with him, and hopefully now he'll be on the real show someday. Him and Jack.
Yeah.
God, imagine they're on the same season.
I would watch that. I want to be there too.
Make Survivor Syracuse Heroes vs. Villains redo, but it's on the actual show.
I think if Survivor were to do like a college versus college one, that would be so good.
They really need to take the opportunity. Like, there's so many amazing like college survivors for them to pull people
Yeah.
from.
They probably
I
get
think,
sponsors too, realistically. Schools would want that.
yeah, like public lights or schools. I mean, we're slowly getting there. We have like, I mean, she was just voted off, but Tori, she was on like
Mhm.
Sequester, which is
Mhm.
kind of a live reality game show,
Mhm.
and there's been some Survivor players on that, some Big Brother players. I think Zeke from Game Changers was on a College Survivor.
Awesome.
So we're slowly getting there. Let's just get some, like, let's get Madison on season 44 or
3 or
45.
4 or 5, any of them.
Any of them. Let's get her on a season.
Yeah.
CBS, I know you're watching.
Yeah. If only. If only.
And now we have our final three. We'll talk about the final three and their overall journey once we get to their vote offs. But before we get to Cam's big decision, I'd like to show something that was provided a couple of episodes ago by our one and only Hannah Dolan. I posted it in the group chat. It's Hannah's boot order that was a part of the U Up challenge. And if you notice the final four,
Mhm.
she predicted who the final four was.
Yep.
Got a little mixed up at second and third, though. Although their names are similar, so can't blame her. So yeah, Hannah Dolan's a psychic, and she can predict the future.
Mhm. Pretty much.
And now we're at the final three. Cam has a decision: Abby or Gabby. We pretty much get both of them pretty much saying to Cam, "Oh, I can't win. You will obviously win if you take her." Yada yada. When you were watching and you saw that Cam won, who were you thinking if she took this one, she'd win, and who'd she take it to lose?
See, with this final 3, I don't think you can do that. I don't think there was as, obvious as a winner as it would have been maybe with Jake. I think I didn't know. I think they both could have made a case and won. I was thinking she would probably not take Gabby. That was my thought, and I ended up being right, but I didn't really have substantive evidence to support that.
Yeah, it really was just like a coin flip on who she'd take or bring because it all depends on, I think, story at this point. Like Abby was pointing out, if she took Gabby to the end, they'd have a similar story and more people could vote for Gabby over her. And then Abby was just kind of like more pointing out, like, we work together, the Jake vote, yada yada. Um, I think at one point Abby was more making a case on why she could easily win if she makes it to the end, which probably not a good strat. And it wasn't because when the vote was read, point off to whoever's editing, if we see Cam do a curve on the vote line, we know she's voting Gabby, so it's not really a shock at that point. But it's the last episode, so I can't really follow you guys.
Yeah, we learned
And
of it like 5 seconds later. It's all good.
yeah, it's like Luke's building up the suspension. It's like, we know she voted Gabby, we saw her write the G. Unless all of a sudden they're both named Gabby. But Gabby's voted off, third place. You get to share a placement with her now.
Woo!
Woo, third place sisters. And she's taken it a certain way. Fair to say she's not happy. I think she believes if she made it to the end, she would have won.
Yeah,
And judging by
she
latest,
wasn't happy when she was voted out second, so it makes sense that she wouldn't be happy about being voted out third to last. So yeah,
yeah, right before the final, she's just never happy when she's voted off, is she?
no, it doesn't sound like it.
No. Why can't she be grateful for losing? And then at one point when it was like the torch fell, it's just like, yeah, fuck you too. And then just kind of like going off and like Cam being like, you promised me final three. Well, we'll get more into Gabby when we get to her speech at the jury. But what do we think of Gabby throughout the whole game?
Um, I I thought she was a polarizing figure. I think she has a lot of strong opinions. She did get her way to the end. She crawled and made her way to the end. And she got there. And I think there's something to say with that. I think, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get to see a lot of Gabby her first season. What we did get was a lot of just like fuck you lot, and it was definitely a lot of that. She was definitely, again, another person that's just like, if she's just in front of a camera, she will entertain the audience. So if she was on another show, Big Brother, The Circle, like Hannah, I think she'd be definitely a fan favorite. This girl needs a reality show. There's just like some college survivor people just like give them a reality show.
I agree.
And now we're at the final two: Cam versus Abby, hero versus villains. Probably the last people in each tribe that people thought would get to the end. And we get to the jury. They give their speeches. Abby decides to give, what was it, a contingency speak to Cam?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was something. So we're going to get into the jury questions. Uh, Obviously, in order. Derek asks, why were they the last hero and villain? Why do you think they were the last hero and villain?
I think they're the last hero and villain because they were able to situate themselves in the middle and look unassuming and under the radar. And I think that's a very great way to play Survivor, and it worked in both of their favors. And I think if hero villains, lots of huge personalities, lots of targets, and they were able to skate by, and they did it. So
Yeah, Derek says being told you're doing nothing in the game is code for you're doing stuff strategically behind the scenes, which he kind of related back to him. And then I was kind of like, well, maybe sometimes they just did do nothing. But then I was like, did you have anything like that when you were talking? Did you just have people being like, you did nothing?
yeah, I mean, if you were to watch season 3 Tribal Council back, I don't think a lot of people think I did a lot, even though I did. So it all has to do with the other people's perceptions of your game, and if they don't see it, it's your job as a final Tribal Council member to state your case, and you just got to do the best. And whether the jury wants to hear you or not, up to them. But I think both of the ladies did a great job standing their ground.
Yeah, they both definitely did. They both had moves that they could easily portray, and they did not back down to anyone's questions. One thing that does kind of fault, I'm going to say, I don't want to say Abby because we'll talk about Hannah's part of the jury speech, but there are some times where both Cam and Abby would have the same answer to questions. Like with Austin's, what was their defining winning move? They both said voting off Jack. And I definitely think it faulted Abby a little, the fact that she answered second. Like if she would have said it first, she probably would have gotten a little more credit than Cam saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this is an instance because they did play similar games that the order has a lot to do with how the jury. I mean, the jury went in, a lot of them already knowing what they wanted to do, but for the people who didn't have their votes decided yet, and I know that there were a couple who did not have their votes decided, I think the order did have some influence on where the votes ended up going.
Yeah, because I noticed Cam answered a lot of questions first. And that's usually because people are like, Cam, you answer first. But in cases where it's like somebody gives me an answer, Cam would always be the first one to answer. And let's talk about Hannah Dolan again, shall we? She, first thing she does, something I personally love, shout out to Sequester, because I know that's where this came from. It was close your eyes and raise your hand if you think you have this jury member's votes. To where Cam raised her hand a good few times. Abby only raised her hand to 3 people, and even then they were just kind of like, I think, I'm not too sure. And you could see some jurors were like surprised that both of them never really stood up.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
really tough question to be asked because you don't want to show up and be like, "Oh yeah, I definitely think I'm getting this person's vote because that could deter that person from voting for you to win it." Anyway, and you also don't want to like not raise your hand for people who may because you want credit and you want to show that like you think you should deserve to win and you need to have votes to win. So very, very tough question. I think if I was ever asked that one, that would be one that would stump me. I wouldn't really know how to play that 100% correctly, if there even is a way to play that 100% correctly. But it's definitely a tough question to be asked.
Yeah, I understand you'll have to go shortly, so I will quickly wrap things up. We'll quickly go through more. Pretty much Hannah again digging into everyone. She gives a little shout out to Lydia, saying Lydia played better games in 1 week than Abby in 3 months.
I don't know about that. I think that was a slight exaggeration. I think Abby did more than that.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny, and then it's just like walk off. Do you want them to hear the answer? Walks back on. So what's your answer? We have no response. Walks back off. I'm also going to bring up Jack's question. Jack pretty much says, pick two jury members to not be on the jury. I think that's a good question. It's like,
oh, I love that question. 100%.
Yeah, same. Abby was confused. It was like, wait, two members that we think should be in the final, or two people that we should. Now, to be fair, I'd probably ask the same thing. It'd be like, so are we picking two people that shouldn't be on the jury that should be pre-merge, or two that should be sitting here in the final two? Both of them say Derek. Abby says Austin, and then Cam says Mitch. Who would you say?
I would have said Cam. I would have said Cam if she was on the jury, but she wasn't, and before her end game, but like she wouldn't have had the chance to play the killer end game that she did. So that's why I would have said Cam in that instance. But I guess I would have said Austin and Kat.
I probably would have said Mitch. Same reason as Cam. Voted off already. And I'd probably say probably Jack or Jake, because it's like I'd probably be like they probably should be like next tier because they play great games, but that's kind of like shooting yourself in the foot. And speaking of Jake, his question was pretty much I was asked this stupid question when I was in final two, so let's make that opposite. What does the other person not deserve to win? Which I think is a great question. Whoever asked the question, why should the person sitting next to you win? I hate that question so much.
Yeah, I do too. That's one of my least favorite final tribal council questions.
When you were in final tribal, what was the worst question you were asked? If
I
you
don't
can
remember. I was trying to think of that before I came on here because I thought you might ask it, but I don't recall. I just didn't like being constantly asked about the fake idol. I got like 3 questions about that, and that was annoying.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we get it. I gave somebody a fake idol. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Now, Gabby. First off, her pretending to fall off during Abby's speech. I thought it was so funny. I made a video of it to different music.
Mm-hmm. Yes, classic.
And then she pretty much was saying, like, apologizing to everyone, being like, I caused this horrible final two by wanting to make a move. And then it's like, maybe I didn't get help from Wentworth or War Dog. Last time I checked, they were there as team captains and mentors, so they were always there to help everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Cam and Abby used their sources.
Yeah, for sure.
So great on them for using actual Survivor players.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only thing similar in our games is our name.
Which I don't think is true. But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think there are some similarities. Definitely
some similarities, because both girls had opportunities to roll off other people, stray away from the pack, but both believed they needed to stay with the numbers they had.
Mm-hmm.
And doing these recaps, it's definitely annoying the fact they both have similar names.
Yeah.
New college rule: nobody's allowed to have similar names on the same season.
That would probably be a good one.
Yeah, either give them nicknames or full names, or just none of them similar, or they put them on opposite tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to the vote reading. Let's say you were on the jury, listening to their speeches. Would you vote for Cam or would you vote for Abby?
I would have voted for Abby.
Why?
I felt that she played a great under the radar game. I thought she was playing the whole time. I loved Cam's game as well. I liked how Cam really picked it up in the end game, but I felt that her um, beginning to middle games were pretty stagnant. Whereas I was able to see Abby playing the whole time.
Yeah, I can't really say too much on who I would have voted for since I know confessionals and all that stuff. And saying that I would have voted for Abby over Cam, I as much as people are like dissing the fact like, oh, you were told where to vote for every time and that's why you have a good voting record, it's still something to have that she has voted correctly. I'm pretty sure almost every time except for the
Yeah,
one time she didn't want to vote for Eli.
and she knew that. Yeah,
Yeah, while Cam, while she has a great story being like, oh, last hero, first boot to final tribal council, I can't ignore the fact like she was not in the loop for a lot of these votes.
for sure.
Yeah, and people kind of use the fact that Abby was in a majority four alliance as a downgrade. It's
I
like,
know.
sorry that I was had power in a majority,
Yeah,
and that this girl lost her allies two tribals before I did.
yeah. I
So
felt for Abby during the final tribal council because I definitely feel some jurors did go for her neck a little bit, and it reminded me of my final tribal experience. And though I feel like the anger towards me was more like emotional, um, I felt the anger towards Abby was almost more strategic in a way. But there are definitely similarities to just the jury. They had their opinion, they don't want to hear it, and then that's it.
yeah, that's the whole point of this game. It's like, how do you vote off some people and have them not be pissed at you? And with the season over and done with, there we go. Survivor Syracuse, heroes versus villains. That's our season order. I've mentioned there twice because he was voted off twice, plus other things. And let's see how I now do the ranking. Oh, great.
Yay.
I forgot what buttons to use.
No problem.
Here we go. And here is the final placement ranking.
Woo.
While I don't remember the last time I put this, I'm going to say I had this up final five onward. So I put Jack and Jake at top because obviously I'm not dumb. I put Gabby as the second best third placer. You're the only one that has played better than her, and out of all the third placers, because you are the only one. You are the only one that has made it to final tribal. I put Abby second to last because I'm trying to remember why I did that. I think I put her second to last because obviously Jake was an amazing player. And I think I put over Zach because I think Zach made maybe like did slight extra things better than Abby. It's like slivers. And then Cam. Cam's a great winner. But I can't ignore the fact that she was out of the loop for a lot of votes. Well, she has an amazing
Valid.
story. Well, she has an amazing story. I do think out of the four winners, she is number four. I'm not going to say the worst because saying the worst makes it sound like, oh, she's horrible. Out of the four amazing winners, she's number four.
Fair enough.
And that is the Syracuse rankings.
Yay.
And with that, that's Syracuse over and done with. Now, did you have fun playing and watching the season?
Yes, 100%. One of my favorite things of college. I still play a lot of orgs. Means a lot to me. Can't say enough nice things about it.
I know you already graduated. Were you a senior when you were playing this?
Yep.
It's like
Senior, both seasons.
So no more Syracuse seasons. Just have to try for the real show
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I am applying.
Yay! You better hopefully get on. We'll be rooting for you. And we'll just have to wait for Syracuse season 5 to come out at some point. Will we go over here? It depends if I can find another person to do this with me. So thanks everyone for watching. If you want to see more Syracuse stuff, subscribe to their YouTube channel. They're going to be doing their last recap show today in, I think it's already lit. Wait, what time is in around
15
an hour, 15 minutes,
or an hour. I don't know. One of them.
one of the two. I think it's 15 minutes. One of the two. Either way, go to their YouTube channel to figure it out. If you want to hear their side of the final, if you want to see more like reality game show content, where subscribe to the channel, follow the Facebook, all the social media stuff. Um, if you join the Survivor Reddit Discord, there's a whole bunch of college Survivor chats. There's a Syracuse portion. Talk about the season. Talk about your favorite moment. Talk about why you think Cam's a great winner. Talk about why you think Abby should have won. Talk about how Gabby would have won if she made it to the end, or other things. And we'll see you next time for if there's another Syracuse season.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone. And Madison, thanks for doing this whole season with
Of
me.
course, I had fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for coming. You might see some interviews coming soon with some of these players. I know I have one with Gabby coming up tomorrow,
Very fun.
so that should be interesting. And if I get more, I'll have to see if I'm able to get in contact with them. Bye, everyone.